And we are live. Welcome to another episode of the New York Information Security Meetup Podcast. And I want to welcome Scott Augenbaum. Thank you very much for joining me. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for welcoming me back a second time. You know, as I like to say, I'm a displaced Brooklyn kid living in Nashville, Tennessee. I always jump on the opportunity to get back to New York, even if it's just virtually and that kind of stuff. And glad you brought me back a second time. What am I doing that's so special that you bring me back a second time?
So I follow, your LinkedIn, and it seems like you always have a great insight in terms of what's happening in the industry. And I remember asking you if you're going to be at the Black Hat event, and you mentioned, I definitely want to be there to talk about, what the crazy things that the vendors are doing. So why don't we start there? First of all, like how are kind of retired life is working for you?
First of all, if you see the big smile, it's great to be back. I'm Scott Augenbaum. I'm a retired FBI special agent. Had an amazing 30-year career with the FBI. Started my career in New York City. Hopefully I haven't lost the accent. Started in 88, became an agent in 94. And if you define my job back in the 90s, it was easy. Bad people did bad things to good people. I worked with state and local cops. We put bad guys in jail. I got sucked into the world of cybercrime in 97 because I'm the only guy in the office with a home computer. And I don't want to be the cyber guy, Dave. It was not the cool, fun, sexy job. Remember who was involved in cyber in the 90s?
If you watched some of the Hollywood movies, it was a bunch of geeks.
Yeah,
basically.
It was geeks.
With
it wasn't cool.
Thick glasses.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
I wanted to
cool
be the bank robbery guy. I didn't want to be the drug girl, but we had an agent who worked drugs. So I'm the cyber guy. And, and I stick with it. And I spend my whole career dealing with cyber. And what do I learn? I interview 1,000 people face to face, feel their pain. And I realize none of my victims ever expect to be a victim. Why would anyone want to target me? I'm a cosmetics company. I'm a tire company. We're a nonprofit organization. We're a hospital that does cancer research. My God, a cyber criminal would never target us. And when these companies or individuals or senior citizens were victimized, I couldn't fix the problem. I couldn't get there. I could not fix the problem. I couldn't wave a magic wand and get rid of ransomware or give you your data back. Just yesterday, I was talking to this individual whose parents lost $1.1 million in a scam.
That's incredible. Talk to me about that.
And I can't get I'm going to go into it. Yeah, I can't. Yeah. But listen, I can't get their stuff back. I can't put the bad guys in jail. By the time the money is gone, it's dispersed through thousands of mules, not thousands, but it's gone. So you take those things into account. Nobody expects to be a victim. That elderly couple, 87 years old, did not prepare to lose $1.1 million. We can't get their stuff back. We can't put the bad guys in jail. Now, let's go through a couple of other things here, and you'll understand why I talk the way I do and why I'm so real about this. The cybercrime problem is getting worse year after year after year, and it's going to go up in the next 5 years. But we're going to continue to spend money over the next 5 years. Information security spending is going to go up as much as the cybercrime problem. So, David, what does it mean to you when the problem keeps getting worse and we keep spending more and more money? What does it mean?
Well, isn't it some of the things that you say, well, if you, it's the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Yeah. So I think we're adding more and more, funds to defend, and yet we're losing the battle, or at least seems like at least on the surface we're losing the battle. I think. I'm going
to be honest with you. We are losing the battle.
We're making progress, but it's not too,
progress. I've been dealing with this since 2007. Look at the global cost of cybercrime from 2007 to today, and don't tell me I'm not like a guy filled with FUD. I'm a guy filled with FFRE, fear from real experience, because I dealt with this. Okay.
I love that.
So the problem's getting worse. Now, do you see why, if I work for a company, I can't really be talking like this, right? Nobody can talk like this. I'm not saying we don't buy products. I'm not saying we don't buy services. There's so many amazing products. I'm not this guy who says, hey, I'm going to go at it organically, and I'm just going to run in a native Linux operating system, and I don't need anything. But the thing that I discovered, David, after dealing with so many things, and let me just tell you, it was time and time again. I couldn't get their money back. I couldn't put the bad guys in jail, just like this elderly couple. But what I discovered was almost 90% of what I dealt with easily could have been prevented. 90%. And that's why I wrote a book called The Secret to Cybersecurity. Not about, hey, look at all these great things an FBI agent did. That's what most of my colleagues talk about, their experience. Hey, I put this guy in jail. I sat there, I dealt with a lot of pain, and I realized the majority of it could have been prevented. But I can't go back in time. I can't go back in time and help these people. So I built a framework, and that's the whole movement that I call the CyberSecureMindset movement. It's not a product. It's not a service. It's a way of thinking. Because if we don't condition ourselves, and remember, the human is the weakest link. Am I saying we don't need artificial intelligence? Well, there are some amazing products out there that are doing great things. But tell me, you're an information security pro. What would have helped that elderly couple from losing $1.1 million? What could they have bought?
Well, without knowing the details, I can tell you it's just sometimes it's just a matter.
They got phone calls and emails.
Yeah. Well, all they have to do is, first of all, ask a question, one more question. That's what we always talk about, be doubtful, right? So
it's having that mindset.
Yeah, David. Mindset. That's right.
Now I'm going to go to Black Hat. I'm going to hang out with a bunch of friends of mine. Are you going to be there? I hope to hook up with you.
Yes, definitely. And I love that because, again, you have a different perspective. So because you're interviewing so many people and have seen, so first of all, the fact that you still believe in the nature of people that, because it's, I guess after doing that for so long, didn't you lose faith?
Yeah.
In terms of humanity?
Someone said something to me just the other day and it really hurt my feelings. And I'm from Brooklyn. Can you believe something actually hurt my feelings?
No, I think you're losing a little bit.
Yeah, I am. You know what they said? We can't stop people from being stupid. And that's not the case. I've seen good things happen to really, really smart, well-educated people. I was talking to one of my FBI buddies yesterday. Maybe you don't have as much empathy for this. Business email compromise. $20 million victim. And what did they do? They got into the third party's email system. They compromised that. They sent an email to the CFO. The CFO asked for verification. And the CFO never got verification, but had a trusting working relationship with these people and sent the money anyway.
Incredible.
Again, everyone's like, hey, we need a cyber kill chain to get that back. I'm like, okay, I wish I really knew what that meant. However, by the time this organization reported it to the FBI, it was 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
They were able to. Yeah, I'm sorry.
And sometimes even verification is, I've heard a case of business email compromise where they called, and it wasn't such a large sum. It was less than that, but they called and whoever answered on the other side, so they basically changed the number, the phone number and the email signature coming from that individual. Mm-hmm. So when they call, they ask, hey, is this really you? And they say, yeah, it's us. We were looking for the funds. When are you going to be able to transfer those? So even that sometimes it is becoming sophisticated. And once the money, as you mentioned, once the money leaves, this is it, right? But it's having that mindset. And you know what? It's hard. I have to tell you, if somebody's been doing this for a while, I still get
Oh, me too.
Emails that look, it looks real
one day or not.
Totally.
And I'm talking to a lot of companies. I'm talking to one company now that has an amazing artificial intelligence agent, but we rely so much on technology. Now, let me tell you, if you read my chapter on the business email compromise, or you hire me to go with you on a cruise for a week and have me talk about the business email compromise for 24 hours a day, which I probably can do, you're still going to fall victim. It's a combination of having good technology with a good mindset. But here's the thing about the mindset. You could figure it out on your own. And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's why I've created this movement called the CyberSecureMindset movement. That's why I've been doing I'm trying to do content every day just for repetition. And because here's what I discovered when we go out. I mean, I get hired by large companies to do 45-minute presentations. You're not going to remember anything. I spent all this money. I went to an Anthony Robbins seminar. It was amazing. And let me tell you, for 3 weeks, my life rocked. I was on top of the world. I don't remember anything because it's repetition. It's repetition. And that's what it's not one and done. It's not taking a cybersecurity course. It's not buying a book. It's more than a podcast. It's developing this mindset, which, I'm going to send everyone, to my landing page. I have a framework that I created. And what is I like to joke. I go, here you go. Just follow these steps. Follow these steps. Spend time, research them. I'm putting together courses on this because you know what a lot of people have been saying to me? Scott, I don't want to do this myself. Could you come over? Can you teach me how to do this? And I'm like, that's such an amazing thing now because I get hired by some of the largest companies in the world because I don't sell product or service. I just provide knowledge. And then I'm like, I want to make this available to everybody because here's the thing. The people who get my message, they can afford it, but I can't travel to every dry cleaner across the United States and spend an hour with everybody. And I can't really expect everyone. And you'll never hear me say like, hey, just read my book. You'll be safe.
Yeah, so, it's the same for all disciplines. Even if you work out for 3 weeks and then you abandon, the results are not going to be there. It has to be a continuous mindset, as you mentioned, and something you continuously do. So you mentioned you help out these organizations to kickstart that program, right? And then when you leave, how do you make sure that they stay on top of things and continue it's all about continuous improvement.
That's what I'm building now. And I'd love for you afterwards. I won't like to demo what I've done because now. Yeah, I would love that. Here's the thing. I get hired. I go down to a big conference. I know nobody's listening besides me and you. They pay me a lot of money. My wife's happy, and they say, hey, Scott, we want you for 45 minutes. And I go like this. First of all, I'm expensive. I said, let me give you 2 hours. Let me give you more. No, we don't want that. We only want 45 minutes because we need to check a box. I hate to say it, I make a living because people need to check a box, but that doesn't fulfill me, David. It doesn't fulfill me. I'm at this thing where I realized as an FBI agent when I was younger, I had a lot of wins. I put bad people in jail. When I started working cybercrime, and I became addicted to that, it was that dopamine rush that I made a difference. And then when you get that rush, you work harder, you put more bad guys in jail. And then all of a sudden, when I worked cyber, I couldn't get their money back. I couldn't put the bad guys in jail. And then I realized that I had the ability to take what I've learned and share it with people. And that became the win for me. So what did I do? I've been retired 4.5 years. I became a professional speaker. I didn't ever think that this would happen. I've been able to turn down a lot of jobs because today the win for me is convincing a family that they need to turn two-factor authentication on their complete network, all their personal stuff. And when I go over and I sit down with Fortune 500 companies, and I'm still amazed how few organizations have two-factor across the enterprise on their Salesforce, on their HR, on their bank accounts and stuff. And let me ask you, David, how much does it cost to turn that on?
Well, particularly nothing.
Nothing. And when they go like this to me, we don't want to do it. You know what I say? I don't care. I said, but let me give you the telephone numbers from my buddy, either with Kroll, Arite, CrowdStrike, any of the big intrusion response companies.
Because you're going to need it.
Because 85% of their work these days is coming from account compromise. But if I can keep people safe at home, they're going to take that skill set. That's my passion project.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, it's not necessarily just all about you. As you mentioned, it might be the third party, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be some sections that, your partners.
That's the thing. It's not hopeless. It keeps getting worse. And if we would just start thinking about this, there's great products that are available that companies need, but they're not making their way down to the small businesses. They're not making their way down to the nonprofit organizations. That's where I'm saying 90% could be prevented. What about the other 10%? That's hard. But the 90% is what everyone keeps getting victimized on.
Yeah, and the 90%, you can make a huge impact. Again, if we even make an improvement in 90%, I think we're all as a society, we're going to gain for it, because people don't realize that, the impact of having a business email compromise for a company is they may go out of business. And then we're talking about real life impacted by loss of jobs.
Just think about, think about our parents. Think about our elderly parents, who most of them have smartphones, and they're on their phones and they're shopping QVC all day and they're shopping Amazon all day. And they get that email from Amazon saying there's been a delay in shipping. Please click on the link, enter in username and password. And they enter in the username and password. Now, bad guy steals it. They get the Amazon password. Now they can start shipping products all over the country, change the email since nobody gets notified. And then 60% of the population is still using the same password. I'm doing it.
And I've had the same thing happen to me, even with they tell you, there was a charge of $495 for this, Apple iPad or whatever, click here, call here if it wasn't you. And then I actually called just to be curious about it. But somebody answered, and they're like, of course, they wanted to help me out by getting into my account.
Yeah, I'm helping out Nashville Public Television on putting together a special for education on helping the elderly. Those are the things that move me. I mean, I'm blessed. I have a great pension. I got enough speaking to pay the bills. Nobody's starving in my family. But as I said, these are the wins that I want to go out. At 54 years old, that's my dopamine rush. That's what gets me excited, when I can sit here and I can share my knowledge. And I'm not the hero in the story. Okay? Scott doesn't save the day. Scott didn't invent a magic framework. Scott answered 1,000 victims' telephone calls, and he discovered patterns. And he took those patterns and he created other patterns to help keep people safe.
So throughout your career, did you find that through moments like today, where it seems the economy is a bit in a lull, right? So do you find that there's an increase in malicious activity across the board, or does it have an impact at all?
I think it does, but I'm under the thing that it's 24/7. We need to think before we click, think before we act. We need to secure our email with two-factor authentication, because when you don't secure your email with two-factor authentication, the bad guys get into the corporate email, and from the CEO or the director of HR, they send a link out saying, hey, we're going to give you a $25 free gas card. Just log in with your credentials, and now it gets sent to a phishing website. So I think these are the things that we have to think about all the time.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of means of getting to employees. I saw the other day of someone who received a quote unquote job offer, for somebody on LinkedIn, and they sent them a quote unquote. It was very lucrative. They have, it was $500,000 for an VP of an engineering job. And long story short, in order for them to view the PDF, they had to install something on the machine. And you know where this is going, right? Mm-hmm. And their entire, email got compromised. And then a lot of, it cost the company, several $1 million in assets. They got stolen from, because that person thought they're going to get the next big thing. And through LinkedIn, and LinkedIn fraud seems to be on the rise, as well as the other social media platforms.
And I wrote a whole chapter about that in my book. And people go, Scott, when are you going to write another book? And I go, I don't need to write another book. I mean, it's the same stuff. It's the work from home scams. I've been seeing those for decades. The romance scams, the real estate ripoffs, the fact that we're putting everything into the cloud. They're targeting the small businesses in this country. They're targeting the MSPs. And that's another area I've been starting to work with a couple of people, because all you need to do is get into an MSP, and now you're getting into their 100 clients. And from there, you're infecting thousands of people.
And it's so timely, Scott, because there was an MSP that got hit out of Kansas City, and they had to announce that the systems were down. And you're right. It's also interesting that some of them, like an MSSP, you'd think that they would have, their controls in place, because they are providing, cybersecurity services and controls over to their clients. But even these guys are not immune to.
Listen, I've seen them attack everybody. I've seen some big four accounting firms that have cybersecurity practices get hit. I've seen others that have ransomware. We're all going, and that becomes very, very challenging. I mean, I like to think I do the best, but I'm not a technical wizard by any stretch of the imagination. Eventually, I'm going to click on a link. Someone's going to phish me. Someone's going to steal my username and password. I'm going to have to hope that the two-factor authentication was set in place. I'm going to have to go, why is this one on SMS text instead of that? And, these are the things, like, we want to eliminate all risk. We got to get off the internet. But there are little things that we should be take it first, and that's it. And that's all I'm trying to tell people to do is, before you spend money, follow the stuff that's in my framework. Learn about this, research this. We don't need to make information security people smart. They know what they need to do. It's all about effective storytelling. It's all about effective communication, and it's all about behavior change. And behavior change is not reading my book or taking a class or even having me speak once. It's building up the repetition. And that's why I'm building out these courses to try to help. Mm-hmm. And you just disappeared. Yeah, so I'm going to keep talking until you get back. It's about having that cybersecure mindset, not a product, not a service, just a way of thinking.
Oh, and I'm back.
Good. Hopefully you can edit that.
So if you're going to get the, the email that says, hey, we have a 6-figure speaking engagement for you, would you click that link?
Yeah, I'd send it to my manager and let him handle that. But I'm doing my due diligence here. Everybody has a digital footprint on the internet, and that's why the cyber criminals are going over. And here's the thing for everyone here who's on LinkedIn, who's listening to your podcast, if you do not have two-factor authentication, the cyber criminals are going to get into your LinkedIn account. And now I'm going to get a LinkedIn message from, let's say, the chief marketing officer of a legitimate organization who's going to say, Scott, we love that. Hey, go click on this link. And think about this on the corporate side. Think about what happens when you're up on LinkedIn and you get a resume that comes in from somebody, and you take it from LinkedIn and you move it to your company's Slack channel, and now you put that PDF in. Now you just infected your company. So that's why we owe it all to ourselves to really keep our accounts safe.
So you're about to head out to Black Hat. What's your kind of the goal for you there to meet? As many people as possible.
I have a couple of friends there. For me, August is a very, very slow time for me because I get really busy in speaking. I just have a bunch of extra air miles and hotel miles, and nobody really ever invites me out there. So, and I have some friends. I have some people that I really want to meet with and hang out with who are good friends of mine. I want to walk around and I want to kind of look at some things and do some interviews myself for my videos to actually see if I can understand what some of these products do and stuff, because, I like when people say we sell a solution, because to me, I'm like, there's no such thing. You can't wrap it around as a solution. So, but to me, I've never been to Black Hat before. So to me, I'm just going to go as a nomad. I'm going to visit over, have dinner with a couple of friends. I'll get you my information, your information. We can kind of hook up and that kind of stuff. And I'm just looking to see what it's all about.
So if somebody wants to meet while there, what's the easiest way for them to reach out to you?
That's a good question. I haven't even figured that out yet. I figured I'm just going to post it on LinkedIn. I mean, follow me on LinkedIn. My name's right down there. Also, I'm going to give you my landing page, which is called CyberSecureMindset.com. And that's a page that I put up and I direct people to go after I speak. Because usually when I'm talking, everyone's writing down notes feverishly. So I just go, look, here's a copy of my framework. Just go to my landing page, send me your email, a copy of the business email compromise guidance that I was providing with the FBI from 2016, and the ransomware guidance. Now, why am I providing 6-year-old guidance? Just because I want to show you it's the same guidance we're talking about today. And also the 2 chapters of my book on keeping kids safe and keeping parents safe, because those are the things that I think you really need to go out and buy my book for. But I have this complex. I don't like to ever say buy my book. So I usually give away those 2 free chapters, because that to me are the 2 most important chapters that you need in my book. And that is CyberSecureMindset.com. Where you going?
Awesome, Scott.
A bagel, a cup of coffee?
I don't know. My camera still, get timed out. That's why we had some technical difficulties to start the day. But Scott, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Looking forward to meeting you there.
Yeah,
and I can't wait to.
We'll talk a little bit, and then we'll put our heads together. I'd love to collaborate with you. David, once again, thank you so much for bringing me on, talking to your listeners. I hope to get a speaking engagement pretty soon in New York. I need to get down to Brighton Beach to visit my mom, who was complaining yet again that it's...
Well, that's what moms do.
Well,
and she's right. She's always right.
Yeah, well, it's cool. She says it's cool in the morning, but it gets hot at night. And I'm like, maybe you should turn the air conditioner on, okay?
Thank you very much, Scott.